Hi guys, as a lure designer, a lifelong lure designer, truly one of the goals I had and I always had was to create some of the bait to be very much multi-purpose, meaning baits that can do a lot of different things, can have different type of action, retrieve, and can fit in a wide range of situations. On the other side, I love to have baits that are more very much focused and specialized, but to have bait that allow you to do a great amount of things allows you at any given moment when you're fishing to change dramatically your type of action to suddenly fit the situation you're in, which may last only a few seconds. An example? Well, you're fishing with a mid-water lure and suddenly you have top water action. And maybe striped bass, for example, in the Northeast or in San Francisco Bay. And you may have only literally 5 or 10 seconds to have a top water action to get a bite, and then the school may just disappear. So if you have a lure that can work in mid-water, that suddenly you can turn into a top water lure, that's part of why I'm saying I love to design and I love to use bait that are multi-purposes. And that's the full reason behind this guy, the Flying Crusher from Oceanborn. You probably know, probably not everybody, but some of you may know one of my previous bait from my Sebile days, the stick shad. And the stick shad was very much in the same vein of a lure I can do a lot of things. So when I designed the Flying Crusher, the idea was to have a lure that will be able to match with the stick shad in many situations and also do things that the stick shad was not and is still not able to do, which is in that very case top water action. So let's go and have a bit closer look to the bait. First of all, the shape. What's a bit unique, it's wider in the tail and a bit narrower in the front. It have a lot of angles. A lot of angles means more volume than if I have just a round shaped lure. So more volume means more air. Thanks to more air, more buoyancy, I can put more weight for same length. So it's a much better long distance bait. Now, very importantly, as you can see, the line attachment goes to the nose, but it's very flat and wide in the front. And we have those ribs underneath the belly. So the overall result of that shape is that is a bait I can cast and just let sink. And it have a great roll and fluttering action on the drop. There's situations where that's what you want. If you go fishing in Central America for cubera snapper or along the African coast, well, that's probably, in my current range of bait, the best bait you can dream of if you want to go down deep targeting a big cubera snapper. That's true also for cobias. When you see manta rays, and likely there are cobias around or beneath the manta rays, that's a perfect bait because you can cast in front of the manta ray and just let flutter and sometimes give it a jerk and let it flutter again. Great way to catch you a cobia. Well, you can do that for many species, obviously. But then you can have a steady retrieve, and then you will have a swim action that will have some chasing, when the tail have also additional kicking. And that's great if you just want to cast, retrieve, and cover water. But then you want to make that bait a jerk bait. Well, guess what? That bait jerks pretty well. More interesting is that that's a 6 inches long, bait, and that weighs 5 ounces. So obviously it's a heavy bait for its size, so it casts very well, even if you cast into the wind, like you will do in the Northeast, for example, for striped bass, when typically the best sea on the beach is when you have breakers, white water, that are fueled by the wind coming from afar. So when you do all of that, you can also, thanks to the width, thanks to the position of the weight, thanks to the ribs underneath the belly, you can keep a rod tip up and gently, relatively slowly, working it by little rod twitches and keep that on the top, despite this guy being 5 ounces. That's another of the great things that bait can do for you. Last and surely not least is the top water, truly top water action. The one I just mentioned with little twitches allow you to keep that bait very close to the top. But if you truly need to have a top water action, like for example some of you may do when you use a pencil bait and work the bait and checking the rod tip and having that retrieve and make motion, well, you can do something very similar here. Simply because it's 5 ounces, when you cast and you want to have top water action, make sure you engage the line on the roller earlier on so you don't have that big loop of line, slack line in the air. And when the bait hits the water, work it right away on the top. And now, thanks to that angle in the flat area here, you perfectly keep that bait on the top and truly have a top water action bait. So that's the flying crusher. It exists in a wide range of color, say mullet if you fish more in the south and are looking for tarpon or snook. Bunker, golden color, well, one of the color that goes pretty much everywhere. Every angler loves those. Well, green mackerel with a hint of blue, perfect if you want to fish for striped bass, but also tuna, wahoo, and stuff like that. Say that pink back, a go-to for many offshore guys. We have another 6 or 8 colors, but check out that very bait on our website and at your local retailer. That's, I promise you, one of my most efficient bait because it can do so many things and so well. The flying crusher from Oceanborn.